Well, hello friends, Coach Bob with you today, and today, man, have I got a great video for you. You know, it's one that is a channel catch-up to a certain degree, accompanied with a couple of stories and maybe a few solutions to some fears that you may be experiencing in your life. You know, these types of videos are always interesting to me. I've had a lot of emails over the last couple of weeks. Coach, where are you? Are you okay? As everyone knows, I'm in Tallahassee, Florida, and we have had a hurricane come through here, Hurricane Helena, which is a biggin, and it was quite an episode. But before we get going on all of this stuff, if you would do me a favor, give the video a big old fat thumbs up, because you know a regular thumbs up wouldn't do. Be sure and share this video with your friends and all that jazz. Enough of that. Let's get to talking. So let's back up a little bit. You know, the hurricane was approaching Tallahassee, and originally it was supposed to be a Category 3, and then it was upgraded to a Category 4, and it was supposed to be a direct hit on Tallahassee, Florida. Well, we're not that far inland, as everyone knows, and so we were like, you know, we need to get out of here because there are a lot of trees, as you can see, and we are in the mix of it. We don't live in an area where there aren't trees. We live in an area like this. We just have to get out of here. So we talked to our daughter, Baba, the one who's dealing with the cancer, and we tell her, you know, hey, what do you want to do? And she's like, I want to stay, but I know I need to go. Talk to our youngest daughter, her and her husband as well. You know, what do y'all want to do? Well, we have the baby. We feel like we need to get out of here. So everybody met over at my house here in Tallahassee, and we made a decision. The decision was this, is that Baba, being her health is more in danger, that we would get her further away from the storm. She would run up to Vidalia, Georgia, where my son lives, and there we go, nice tree limb hanging down. And that Lou and her husband and Vic and me and the granddaughter would head up to Valdosta and stay in a house up there. Well, as the storm continued to approach, it became apparent, but late in the game, that it wasn't going to make the turn, and that we would have ended up being better just staying right here in Tallahassee. But as you can see, even with it turned, now this is after a week of cleanup, there are trees down everywhere. The trees down everywhere. And we didn't take the brunt of it. I mean, I'm telling you, what we got here was nothing compared to where the places we ran to got. So we're in Valdosta, and we're waiting, you know, watching this thing approach, and we're like, you know, turn, and it did turn. It turned right at us. And then when it came out of Valdosta, it made an even further turn to the northeast up towards Vidalia, and things got real ugly up there as well. So we're in the house. This is the terror part of the video. As I was watching the winds very closely, I have an app on my phone that will read the winds in specific locations. So as everything was approaching the house in Valdosta, the winds were in excess of 100 miles an hour, and I'm like, man, they've got to slow down. There's no way this far inland that they can maintain this sort of speed. We've never seen anything like it. Well, they didn't slow down. I'm just telling you, it was 114, 115 miles an hour approaching. And as they were about 5 miles south of the house in Valdosta, we hunkered down and got ready. Well, I can tell you, we took the direct eye wall hit in Valdosta. We had winds in excess of 96 miles an hour based on the app. That is directly over my house. Now, I can assure you that in the worst part of the storm, it was well over 100 miles an hour, but we weren't sitting up checking the wind, if you know what I mean. Once the house started to shake on its foundation and the debris was flying like crazy, we were hearing things fall outside, a lot of noise. There's several times we just felt the house just shake, and we were waiting for the roof to come off the house. It didn't. The house did very well, took minimal damage, but I will tell you, it was somewhat terrifying. You know, I've got Coach Vic there. We had to get her out of the bed because she's in a wheelchair. We're like, you can't lay in the bed and try to sleep through this one, because if the roof comes off, we got to be able to get you out of here quick, and transitioning you to your wheelchair is just going to take too long. So her and I remained awake. We allowed the rest of our family to hunker down in another room and cover up and be protected and try to get some rest. and we sat watch just in case things started coming apart. Again, we took minimal damage to the house. I mean, it was gutters ripped off, it was fences torn down, it was trellises ripped to shreds, debris absolutely everywhere. Fortunately, it appeared that my roof was okay, although there were shingles all over my yard. It looks like they were off the neighbor's house. But then a big tree, a big giant oak tree, and I'll drop some pictures in here, split in half and hit the back of my daughter's car and broke the rear window out of their Toyota RAV4. And they're still talking about totaling it because of the rear gate is so complex and there's so many things in it. They're not sure what they're going to do as far as totaling it or not. It just seems crazy to me, but the car overall looked pretty good. We taped everything up. The car was drivable. So the next day, we run into town. There is not a road in Valdosta that you could get by. It was insane. We were trapped. Fortunately for a bunch of good old boys, old bubbas we call them, there's a bunch of bubbas, I was one of them, running around with pickup trucks and chainsaws, and that's what you do. You put your chainsaw in the truck, you put your gas cans in your truck, you go out, you cut things up, you pull them to the side, and you just work, and that's what you do. But there are so many electric lines down, and so many, just the power lines were, it was just incredible. I've never seen anything like it. 80% of the power lines in Valdosta, Georgia were on the ground. The remaining 20% were damaged and on the pole. We saw where tornadoes went through, and it was just like an entire line of power poles just doop, 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 ripped down. It was insane. Loss of life in Valdosta was zero, and man, we were very, very grateful. A lot of terrified people there. The city was in shock. A lot of damage. My son, their house, we weren't sure what they were going through, but I figured that by the time it got there, they're another 130 miles further up than us. They got the living snot kicked out of them. Just unbelievable levels of rain. Wind tore trees down, tore up his roof, damaged all kinds of stuff. No potable water. I mean, it was bad up there. It was real bad. Once again, the Bubbas came through, man. All of them out with their pickup trucks. He had a neighbor, Big Al. Thank you, Big Al. I'm sure you will never see this video, but if somehow this gets to you, thank you. He hauls cars for a living. He got his big Cummins diesel dually out and pulled trees off my son's driveway. I'm talking big, massive oak tree. Just nuts. And my son works for a nuclear power plant up there, and they had people coming out and just cutting trees up and pulling them out by the road and stacking them. And it has been, to watch that community up there come together has been nothing short of a miracle. Man, you talk about a triumph. Absolutely triumphant. But we didn't know all that at the beginning, right? It was just all terror. Man, everyone was terrified of what around every corner you were going to find, how bad it was going to be. Well, the weekend rolls around. Baba goes home on Saturday. We're home on Saturday. I put in like 14 hours in my yard. We didn't sustain a lot of damage, but it was a mess. It was a real mess. Again, 14 hours in my yard on Saturday. I got things basically cleaned up to where it wasn't just horrible. And then Sunday comes along. Sunday I get a phone call, and it's my daughter Baba's husband. I can hear Baba in the background screaming at the top of her lungs in pain. As you know, she has metastatic ovarian cancer that spread to her lungs, and it's been a real run here lately. This made our third hospital stay in the better of 9 weeks. It was a real bad tragedy event. You see the trees everywhere. It was unbelievable. So we get her to the hospital, and The big thing right now that we're dealing with her is her lung has a lot of damage. And because that damaged lung, as it develops mucus and bacteria, it can't clear, and therefore it develops an infection. Well, the infection was super bad again. Enough to where it could have cost her life again. Extreme pain, total difficulty. We get her to the ER. That was Sunday. She's in the hospital. They start the massive antibiotics. No real fever at this point to speak of. Nothing scary wise anyway. That was Sunday night. She starts feeling worse even though she's on antibiotics Monday night. Monday night, her fever was between 102 and 104 for hours. They packed her in ice. They did everything they could. That finally the fever broke. It came down. She did really fair the next day. Tuesday night, the fever spiked again around 102, but for us that was a lot lower, and we were encouraged by the fact that it wasn't as high as it was the night before. But what that meant Wednesday morning is that we need to do something again. And although we had seen that there was a lot of infection in the lung, they needed to do a bronchoscopy and a lavage. That's where they wash your lung out with the fluid. It's very, very unpleasant when in normal conditions, but in her condition, it's really hard on her. So they did that yesterday, Thursday. Today, as I'm videoing this is Friday. They did the lavage. When she came out of anesthesia, I will say, as a father, I'm 62 years old. I've been a father. My oldest is in his 30s. It was the hardest day as a father of my lifetime. To see her go through what she went through yesterday was torture. It was absolute torture. The pain, the throwing up, just all of it. The tears. It was just really hard to see. It was really, really a sad, sad day. But then came the triumph after the trauma. All of the trauma that she's experienced this week, we saw a turnaround yesterday afternoon. It was just miraculous. Her fever was gone. She was coughing unbelievably, but felt better. You're not supposed to be coughing on the camera. So, Baba, how's your week going?
Sucking.
Let's try not to just say sucking. So, how many days we've been in here now?
6.
Yep, 6. 6 days. That's a long time this time, isn't it? So, you feeling any better?
Tender still.
Big procedure yesterday, huh?
Miserable.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. All right, so you got anything you want to say before I turn this bad boy off? Get some sleep, go home tomorrow, hope. I came home last night. Her husband stayed with her. That's the way we've been doing it. I've been staying all day. He's been staying all night. And I got a phone call from her this morning, early, before sunup. And she's like, Dad, you coming up? I'm like, heck yeah, I'm coming up. She goes, I just wanted you to know it was a good night. She slept last night. Does she feel great? No, she doesn't. And she's going to be going home with some treatments that she's not real excited about. But in the long run, we dodged another bullet, and she's feeling better. And this weekend, she's going to come to my house and hang out with me and recover over the weekend, and then go back home to her house with her husband on Sunday night. So we have had triumph through this. It was terror. It was absolute terror through the storm, extreme trauma through the illness, but in the end, triumph. It's been a scary, hard time, but we're grateful. We're grateful. And I want to share a few things with you about what I've experienced through this emotionally that if you're going through a hard time, hopefully your hard time is not as radical as our hard time is. But if it is, I want you to take some encouragement from this video. And the first thing I want you to know is that the sun came up the next day. The sun came up the next day. Don't take that sunrise for granted. You know, so many times we go, well, you know, God, you don't give me nothing, right? That's what we do. We get mad, we get angry, we're hurt, we're damaged, we're broken. And we're like, God, what are you doing? And he delivered a beautiful sunrise. Now you may say that's not a big deal. It was for Baba. It was a big deal for her. It was a big deal for my son, whose house almost burned down due to electrical damage. It was a big deal for them. You know, to see that sun come up the next day and to feel like there is hope once again, for it to be fresh again, is awesome. Okie doke, here we go. So the first thing I want to tell you, there is going to be a sunrise. Now, we had come to the possible conclusion that Allie's sunrise might be on the other side of eternity. And we were really close, y'all. But it wasn't. And she got to spend another sunrise with us. And we're grateful. Man, are we grateful. Just to have her here for another day is just awesome, awesome news, man, for us. My son, his house didn't burn down. His house didn't fall down. The houses that we have are standing. And we need to be grateful for that beautiful sunrise and the safety and security of the blessings that we've been given. There are so many people right now who are without homes. So many people who have lost loved ones. And I want them to be encouraged for the sunrises that they have in the future, and for the sunrises in eternity that their families will have that have gone on. I'm not going to tell you it's easy, but I am going to tell you to take hope, to believe that there is a light, there is something better out there, and it's going to be okay. So there is a hope for a future. Even if you feel like your future on this world is over, there is a hope for the future. So number one, in knowing that things are going to be okay, in order to feel that triumph can be received on the other side of the terror and the trauma, is to know that tomorrow is going to hold a beautiful sunrise, whether it's here or on the other side of eternity. Number two is the renewal that you're going to get after a tragedy like this. And what do I mean by renewal? Do I mean some spiritual mumbo jumbo? Blah, blah, blah? No, I don't. Here's what I mean by that. A new appreciation for your family, a new appreciation for the things you have. You know what? I hold no resentment to someone who received no damage or whatever. I want you to know I'm glad the people that did not get hurt and did not get damaged, man, I am grateful. I'm going to tell you, when I pray for the storm, my prayer is always the same. Let the storm go away. I don't want it to hit anybody else. I don't want it to hit anybody. But my prayer is never, don't let it hit me, let it hit somebody else. That's never my prayer. I understand that storms come in life, and storms go, and things get damaged. We live in a broken world. But it should give us a renewal, a new love for our family, a renewal for our appreciation of our home, a renewal of appreciation for our friends. And again, if you weren't hit by this tragedy, turn your television on and look at the loss that these people have experienced and be grateful. Look at the beautiful wife or husband you have sitting beside you. Look at the pictures of your beautiful children and be grateful for them. Have a renewed appreciation for them. Thank your God that life is okay, that you are going to be able to be given the privilege to take care of them for another day. And the third and final thing that a tragedy like this should give us is a refreshed commitment. Yes, I said it, commitment. You know, I did a video here recently on commitments, and I'll do some more on that because I believe it's so important. But your commitment, you know, you have a responsibility in your life, a commitment to your God, to your family, to your neighbors, to your country. You know, I may sound like some, you know, highfalutin, stiff-necked old man. Well, you know what? I guess I am a highfalutin, stiff-necked old man because I believe these things. Your commitment to your community. And by the way, who is your neighbor? Not the white guy, not the black guy, not the red guy. It's every guy. It's all of them. It's everybody out there. Your commitment to your community is to reach out and to help someone. You know, when you see someone suffer, reach out. If you're in an area where no tragedy and no trauma has occurred, you should be on the lookout, always on the lookout for a neighbor. You know, I had a friend of mine, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but it'll get tooted right here, so I apologize for that. I had a neighbor recently who died. I say recently, 6 months ago. His widow is in her 70s, and she was having to deal with yard crews and junk. And I'm like, no more dealing with yard crews for you. I got your yard. I can do your yard. I can get you through the season pretty easily. And then you don't have this one less, you take that one off your table. So whether it means trimming trees, whether it means pulling weeds out of her flower bed, whether it means edging or mowing, that is something that I can do for my neighbor. During a storm, you know, if you're not a rich man, go out and get you a Lowe's card, put your little Craftsman chainsaw on your credit card, go out, buy a couple of gas cans, and go help your neighbors cut trees. You know, go out and help people. Go do something. You should, that renewal to your commitment to other people is it's where you need to be every day. But in tragedy, it rekindles those flames. You know, it's so funny as I go through all of these things. You know, I have people go, Bob, how do you stay so optimistic? Look, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I'm never down in the dumps, or that I don't cry, or that I don't get mad and shake my fist at the sky. I do all of those things. I do all of those things. But I do want you to understand this. Those are for moments. And I'm going to tell you right now, those moments, I'm going to raise my shield because I want you to understand it. Those moments are wasted. That's right. I said it. If you're just pitching a fit like a child, those moments are wasted. Those moments are opportunities that you have to reach out and love somebody who's suffering more than you are. You know, I've seen people who have lost their homes out cleaning up their neighbor's house whose was still standing. And they're like, hey, there's no saving mine, but maybe, just maybe together, we can save yours. That commitment is what I'm talking about. You have a responsibility. We all have responsibilities. So am I preaching? You darn tootin' I am. Go out and help someone that's less fortunate than you are. And no matter where you are, trust me when I tell you, there are people less fortunate than you are. If you can't physically do something, maybe you can, you know, find a widow and bring her a meal. Bring a family a meal. There are people that you can change, that you can look them in the eye, and you can really, really be an ambassador to change. You can do it. I promise you, you can. There again, 3 beautiful lessons learned through terror, trauma, and when you add those 2 together with the right mindset, it equals triumph. And that's where we are today. Bob is coming home. My son's house didn't burn to the ground. We are living to serve yet another day. All right. Well, do me a favor before we sign off. Give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends. And remember, just because I'm riding this beautiful 24 CanAm Sea to Sky provided for me by BRP doesn't mean that this channel was only for Can-Am riders or only for motorcycle people. It's for anyone who needs encouragement. And I would encourage you to share this with people that need it, because let me tell you, we live in a world that is in brutal pain that needs to be loved right now. All right. Until next time, I want you to do me a favor. You, yes you, go out, buy the motorcycle of your dreams, eat right, take care of yourself, and remember, if you're not having fun, you are most definitely doing it wrong. Now you go seize the day, and I'll see you on the road real soon. But I'm going to enjoy this beautiful day and this overcast day. It's just wonderful. Thank you, Lord, for another one.